All right. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the Strike Up Connects Mythbusting Government Procurement here with Procurement Assistance Canada. My name is Heather Cannings and I'm the lead for Strike Up Canada. So if you're not familiar, Strike Up Canada is Canada's leading digital conference for women entrepreneurs, and our Strike Up Connects series continues to bring you resources and connectedness to the ecosystem throughout the year. Thank you so much to our partner, Procurement Assistance Canada, for joining us today. So Procurement Assistance Canada, or PAC, the Ontario region, was established in August of 2006 with Public Services and Procurement Canada to support Government of Canada's commitment to procurement system open to small and medium regional business-based. PAC's mandate is to ensure fairness and openness and transparency in federal government procurement. The Government of Canada is committed to giving small and medium enterprises access to compete for government business. PAC supports SMEs by working to reduce barriers and by simplifying the process for SMEs that want to do business with the Government of Canada. So we're so pleased to welcome today Nujhat Bashir. She is a policy analyst with Procurement Assistance Canada, specializing in assisting women entrepreneurs and businesses led by women. As part of this role, Nujhat helps support businesses in the Ontario region by engaging with them and sharing information about how to access procurement opportunities with the federal government. So thank you so much, Nujhat, for joining us today. Together with her colleague, who will join us a little bit later, they will dispel some common myths about selling to government and help you decide if selling to government is best and right for you and your business. So today you're going to learn about what the government buys, who the government buys from, how the government buys, where to find resources and free supports for small businesses, and logistics resources. So before we start, I am just going to launch a quick poll to better understand the audience here today. So it's going to pop up on your screen momentarily. So if you could just take a moment to answer those 3 questions quickly, and then we will jump right into the presentation. So it's looking like for that response, have you ever thought about selling goods and services to federal government? It's looking like about 75% of the audience here answered yes to that question and 25% no. So those who haven't thought about it before, this is a great opportunity to learn from Nujhat, and maybe that will be your next step in business. Thank you so much. So at this time, I'm going to pass the floor over to Nujhat. Feel free, if you've got questions, to throw them in the chat. There will be a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you'd like to save your questions for that opportunity, feel free to do so. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather, for that kind introduction. I hope everyone can hear me and see me clearly in my slides. So yeah, I'll proceed. And if there's any hiccups along the way, feel free to message. My name is Nujhat Bashir. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Thanks for joining this session. And we're pleased to be partnering with Strike Up Connects. As always, we enjoyed and found it really helpful to attend their annual event earlier this year. So this is just a follow-up from that, and trying to better engage with the businesses that they assist. A lot of them being women-led, that happens to align well with our priorities. So that's why we're working closely to try and see we can get more of these women-owned and led businesses to participate in procurement. So I'll talk more about that in a bit because I'll cover what our office does. So I'll just dive into the slides. And yeah, hope you take away something from this today. If you're not, you can definitely schedule a one-on-one meeting with us if you have some questions after. But yeah, happy to assist after today as well. So I'll leave my contact info at the end. But for now, I'll talk about ourselves, the office, Procurement Assistance Canada. So this seminar was developed by our office, and we were created as part of PSPC, Public Services and Procurement Canada, as Heather mentioned, to support smaller and diverse businesses in the federal procurement process. Our role is to engage with businesses to assist and inform you on how to sell your goods and services to the Government of Canada. So We work to reduce procurement barriers in an effort to ensure fairness in the process. We are basically a government unit that works to grow awareness of and access to procurement opportunities for diverse suppliers and bidders, such as yourselves. So we really do this by listening to concerns, answering your questions, helping businesses understand the procurement process, and also by helping you identify opportunities on our tendering website. We partner with community organizations and offer assistance that is tailored to meet your specific business needs. So if you want to have us come out and present to other businesses or organizations that you know of, we're happy to do that as well and tailor presentations for that. But yeah, let's start by talking about what potential opportunities are out there for your business. Each year, the government of Canada spends billions of dollars by awarding hundreds and thousands of contracts and making well over a million direct credit card purchases. This really represents a huge market for you, as you can see. So we award over 500,000 contracts and, process at over close to 2 million credit card transactions each year. That's a lot of small dollar value transactions, which I'll talk about, that, small businesses can try to get. If you think you're too small to compete, well, that's the first myth that I'll have to debunk today. If you're talking about the small percentage of contracts for big ticket items that you hear about in the media, then you're probably right, because there are only a handful of companies around the globe that can manufacture and sell fighter aircraft, for example. But in the actual majority of the cases, the contracts that we award are valued at under $25,000, and almost all of the credit card purchases that we do directly from vendors are valued at under $10,000. Smaller and medium-sized companies are well positioned to take on these types of contracts and provide the government of Canada with the majority of the goods and services that we need each year. So even if you're a sole proprietor, you can apply for these contracts and bid on them. Even if it's just you as a consultant, you can also bid on these. We're here to help everybody at our office, and we don't really discriminate against anyone. So you just have to reach out to us in case that you're lost or you need assistance. Another myth is, you're too small to sell to the government. A lot of businesses think that. Well, if you think the government of Canada only does business with large corporations, the truth is, government of Canada buys way more goods and services from micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises than it does from larger companies. And this only makes sense because smaller companies vastly outnumber large corporations here in Canada, and their competitive edge comes from offering a wider range of specialized products and services, and from being local and innovative. So speaking of being innovative, we also have a lot of innovation programs across government, different departments, such as the ones offered by Innovative Solutions Canada that allows startups to sell their new products directly to the government of Canada, get their first sale, and also give government the chance to try cool new technology. And there's also the Ideas program, which is brought to you from the Department of National Defense, which I'll talk about later on. That's another niche program that allows, our D&D personnel to basically try out cool and new upcoming technology that's being developed by the private sector. So talk about that in a bit. If you think the government of Canada doesn't buy from businesses like yours, well, this is another myth. We've been working to make it easier for all kinds of suppliers to do business with us, including those that have little to no experience with the process. It's really all part of our mandate to conduct social procurement. And over the last 5 years, we've been trying to be more inclusive in our supply chains. And if you want to find out more, it really helps to research the government's current priorities and mandates, because it's all based on demand and supply. And we do expect, process to be followed when bids are received and all of that. But in order to go through that process, we're here to help you. So we've been recently making changes to our procurement processes, trying to make them easier, faster, and more accessible so that they're less burdensome for businesses, because we do understand you have limited time to put towards, preparing a bid. We're also trying to experiment with pilot projects to increase opportunities for businesses run by groups that haven't sold as much to government. So a lot of underrepresented businesses owned by women, visible minorities, or persons with disabilities and social enterprises. We're trying to assist those guys more, and encouraging departments to find ways to increase the value of contracts that are awarded to Indigenous businesses. We have a 5% target there. So a lot of our contracts in government from each department, at least 5% of them have to be going towards Indigenous businesses. We're also constantly trying to expand opportunities for green goods and services by making environmentally friendly purchasing a focus in your evaluation. So you will see that sometimes. But yeah, if you think the government still doesn't buy what you have to sell. Well, let me see if I can separate fact from fiction. This will be another myth here, because what do we actually buy? Well, of course, we have the obvious military equipment, icebreakers, computers, software, and office supplies that, are the obvious ones, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Did you know we also buy food, all types of training, exercise equipment, plumbing supplies, golf carts, bicycles, veterinarian and health services, and so much more. So it's really a wide range, and there's a need for the types of goods and services that smaller businesses have to sell. And you really won't know until you invest some time and go onto our marketplace, which is, canada.ca, and go through the tenders, search through them with regular keywords. And if there's something that we don't buy at any given time, it's probably because we don't have the operational demand for it at this time, but we might in the future. So it's not to say we'll never buy it. We might in the near future. And another myth here, if you think the process is complicated, too time consuming, and difficult, well, 10 years ago, I would probably have agreed with you. And it's true, there are different rules and policies that we expect to be followed in government procurement, but a lot has changed. We have made real progress, and we've tried to make it so that it improves your experience as a supplier and encourages more of you to participate. Some of the improvements include so far, being able to submit bids electronically for some contracts, getting paid faster. So, we've tried pilot initiatives where invoices had to be paid within 15 days, and we've worked hard on our end to make that happen, and that seemed to have benefited SMEs. So there's more improvements ahead to make it easier and faster for suppliers to do business with us. For example, we're constantly trying to simplify contract paperwork, but like I said, because it is a competitive process, everything has to follow some federal laws and Treasury Board policies that we do have to outline upfront. And it looks like a lot of legalese, but over time, if you look at enough tender documents, you'll realize some of it is all standard language. It just keeps repeating and showing up everywhere, but I mean, it's just standard so that we don't get sued and that sort of thing. So it's all there, and it has to be there. So it can be difficult. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes for a new company that's just exploring how to bid on their first tender, but not everything comes easy, and there will be competition. But the process does have to be followed, but we are here to guide you, and there are ways to partner up with other businesses and also learn the ropes. And I can show that to you later on, because there's a neat area on our website where you can just advertise that you wish to work with another company, and it could be a good way to dip your toes and explore bidding on an opportunity. So there are some new initiatives we're introducing there. So if you think government procurement is centralized and we're just one client that you're selling to, well, that's not actually true, because we have hundreds of departments and agencies, and they all operate across the country, not just in Ottawa. And when you think of selling to us, you should really think of us as hundreds of potential clients with different needs and in different geographic locations. So if you take RCMP, for example, we have detachments all across the country, even in remote areas. They often need a whole range of services like janitorial services, landscaping, snow removal, the list goes on. And that's just one organization. We also have Global Affairs Canada with all of our embassies and consulates across the world. So you could also be selling products that end up there, and it could really go far. So customers are everywhere for us. And yeah, I've been mentioning the term competitive procurement a lot. I'll give you a quick overview of how the procurement process works now that I've covered some of the myths. So in terms of competitive processes, for any purchase of goods over $25,000 and for $40,000 for services, those are the thresholds, the government has to issue a public notice, which basically signals that we're going to put this out for competition. And this is what's known as the tender notice. And tender notices are published on our government electronic tendering service, which is canada.ca. And I'll talk about it in more detail in a moment. But yeah, we do have a formal process outlined, and it's designed to ensure open, fair, and transparent competition for government contracts. Basically, recorded. Oh, is it recording? Okay. Basically, we lay out all of our cards on the table by publishing the document that clearly outlines, who has the requirement, like which department is it, what do they require, where and when do the goods or services have to be delivered, and how they intend to evaluate and pick the winner. So all of that is outlined clearly in our documents. And anyone capable of delivering on the requirement and willing to take the time to prepare a bid has a fair shot at winning this contract. So like I said, it has to be competitive since we are ultimately responsible for spending taxpayer dollars. So we do need to be certain that we are buying based on the best value for the Crown and taxpayers. So that's That's one thing to be mindful of here. So contracts below $25,000, however, are referred to as low dollar value procurements. And those are the thresholds for goods. So if it's below 25K for goods and below 40K for services, we usually award them using some kind of a competitive process, but it's much less formal. We just go, somewhere along the lines of requesting 3 quotes rather than going through a 35-page tender notice document. And we'll identify potential suppliers using supplier lists, industry associations, or even by just simply Googling. So for purchases for under $10,000, so even less, the process can be less formal than what I just described. Often it's as simple as just picking up the phone or making an online purchase from a website. So if you really want to tap into this multi-billion-dollar market, you need to be proactive and make sure buyers know where to find you, such as by having an online presence or by networking with government buyers at various events, and just through looking us up on the government electronic directory service and reaching out and doing some cold calling. But yeah, it does take a bit more effort to get these lower dollar value contracts, but it is possible. And you can market your business directly to government buyers if you engage with them. So for the low dollar value contracts, they often just have to be informally just speak with them, and they can usually work out something with you and engage in that low dollar value procurement. So upon hearing all this, how can you figure out if selling to the government is right for you at this stage? So firstly, you can start by going on canada.ca, where you can access all of the government tenders, like I said. And it's the authoritative source for federal government tenders, as well as, you'll see municipal tenders on there and city government tenders, provincial government tenders. So it's really a great one-stop shop for seeing a lot of tenders from different levels of government, but the federal ones all do show up there. So I can only speak to those ones today. And to do a search on there, you don't have to register with an account or anything, or you don't have to give us personal information. You can literally just go on there, type in keywords and start searching today. You could also search using plain language or goods and services identification number or UN standard product and service code. And you can search for opportunities that way. If you know your codes, it's a bit easier. And you can also find previous contract award notices, which can really give your business an idea of what buyers have bought in the past. And it could be useful for you as you develop your business strategy, because who's not to say they won't buy it, something similar again in the near future. And you can also subscribe to notifications when new opportunities are published in a certain keyword search term that you find beneficial. You can set that up, and for that you do need to provide an email address. But other than that, you don't have to do much to search on there. So great place to get started today if you wish to do that. But yes, you can still go on there to search. You'll see tender opportunities that will often redirect you to bid electronically through SAP Ariba, and some of you might have an account on there already. If you've done bidding with other organizations, they do use SAP Ariba. So we've gone on to that platform as well, and you can just set up your profile there and bid on our opportunities also. You can register to view them for free and bid online. And once you're registered, you can use that same login to view and bid on tenders that require electronic bidding. So over time, more and more opportunities will be processed through electronic bidding as we're transitioning and trying to get, with the times. So buyandsell.gc.ca, you might be familiar with, is also another site we had up until recently, but we're slowly trying to phase that one out, and you'll still find really good, helpful information on there, but it will eventually be phased out and everything will be on Canada Buys. So for now, if you wish to still learn, how to register as a supplier, and you want to see some procurement policies and guidelines, you want to learn more about those. Some of that is still on buyandsell.gc.ca, but for the most part, everything that you need to get started would be on canada.ca. So it just shows you on this slide that buyandsell.gc.ca still exists, but it will eventually not have a lot of this info. It'll be transitioned over. Yeah, so you may see tender opportunities that require SAP Ariba accounts. For that, you would have to be registered also as a supplier on our supplier registration information system. And if you need guidance on where to find the link to do that or get to that page, definitely reach out to us and we can walk you through it and like where do you need to register and all of that. And for that registration, you'll need a procurement business number, and that's just a business number that gets generated once you enter in your CRA business number. So you get a procurement business number after that. So if you're a registered business in Canada, you can bid on our opportunities. All you have to do is have a business number through CRA. So yeah, basically you can follow all of the opportunities on Canada Buys by saving your searches, following tender notices, and there's an alert button. You can click that and those will get emailed right to your inbox whenever keywords terms match to certain opportunities that are new. But yes, all through this transition to electronic procurement, if you can't find anything on any of our sites, definitely reach out. We will be happy to walk you through and show you where things are. So in any case, we are still able to assist with all of our daily activities. We offer free seminars and webinars every Wednesdays on some really great starter topics like, bidding on opportunities or navigating the websites. Like we have some on how to write a proposal. So you can definitely check those out on our events calendar. We have a 1-800 national info line. If you have specific questions, a real person will help answer them. And we have our self-service tools and one-on-one meetings. You can book those with us for half an hour. One of us will be happy to sit with you and screen share, walk you through important information and links and, whatever else you need in terms of guidance. So definitely reach out to us. My email should be there, but these are some of the topics we cover in the Wednesday sessions that we do every month. Every Wednesday of the month, it's a different topic and we just cycle through. So really great to start with the first one and then go to the second, third, and fourth, and it'll give you a good primer. And then, yeah, we have all these regional offices, but you can contact our info line and it'll guide you to the right office and the right individual to speak with. But, if you are near another regional office, not the Toronto one where I'm from, feel free to also reach out there and, someone will be happy to guide you to the right one. But if you're still not sure where to go from here, we have these helpful links and, requesting the one-on-one meeting will definitely be able to connect better and help you navigate where you need to go. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me. My email is right there. But this is not the end of the presentation. Like I mentioned, we'll be covering a little bit more on an ideas program from DND. So I have some poll questions to follow up, but they might come through later while I'm presenting, or now I think Heather might send them out, hopefully. Yeah, so before we move on,
I will send those out now.
The next bit of the presentation, I'll just gauge what the audience is feeling. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them now for this portion of the presentation, and you might have more later and I'll do them again, different questions. But if you have any questions now, happy to take those if there's any in the chat or elsewhere. We can take them first, maybe, Heather, and then move on after.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I see. Okay, so I hope everyone got the website link. If not, feel free. I can definitely share it by email with you also after. And is there any questions? Okay, so there's one here. So is the lower dollar value per each purchase per some time frame, example 1 year for the same supplier? Yes, so the lower dollar value purchase, if you are referring to the 10K one, under 10K with credit cards, it could be done with as many suppliers as government finds necessary, but they cannot be splitting up and buying the same of multiple things, like that same thing in multiple $10,000 transactions. So that's called contract splitting, and that is something that is not permitted really in government. It does end up happening maybe in rare cases, but yeah, it's definitely not permitted and intentionally does not end up happening. So if a company is selling something, it'll be for the bulk of that contract. It'll be $10,000 that credit card purchase is made for, and there's no time limitation. I mean, a business can often just keep getting under 10K contracts with different government customers, like I said, with different department heads or different purchasers across different departments, and that's totally fine because that's what a lot of businesses do. They get multiple smaller dollar value contracts throughout the year, and often they find they don't need to bid on the larger ones. Their business does pretty well just that way. So it's up to you what you wish to do and what's comfortable for your business and how much time you have to commit. Yeah, so I hope that answered the question. So we have our event calendar. So how do agreements work with these types of contracts? Will government sign my regular business agreement? Out of agreement. So I'm not sure what agreements it's referring to. Maybe if you can clarify on that question. But we basically award contracts, and contracts do have a statement of work which reads like an agreement in the sense that, yes, a business will deliver these goods by this time to this location. And, that is an agreement that we expect the contractor to uphold. So in that sense, we do have our own draft contracts that we'll work on with the supplier that we end up selecting through the evaluation process and everything. And those terms will be all agreed upon between the supplier and the government before it gets fully awarded. So the agreements often, they end up happening, and a contract is awarded and there might be disputes along the way. There might be some resolution required. There might be issues, deliveries late or something along those lines. There are recourse mechanisms for that as well. We have a procurement ombudsman, which would be a fair, open judge in a lot of scenarios if you need to go that route. But yeah, there are definitely recourse mechanisms if there are hiccups in any particular contract. But the first response to any issue in a contract is to speak with the contracting authority, which every contract will have one. And even on our tendering website right now, for every opportunity that's posted on there, there's already a contracting authority listed from the get-go. So like that person usually remains and stays on until the contract's received and underway and awarded and everything. So you can usually follow up with that same person all throughout, and they're usually your best source for information on that particular tender or that contract once it is awarded. So it's a great place to speak with, a great resource to speak to that contracting authority for whichever specific tender opportunity you see on there. But yeah, I can definitely tell you more about agreements in the scope of like contracts, but yeah, I'm not sure what regular business agreement means in this question, but I hope that answered the question, and if not, we can return to it later. So yeah, there's also, hi, where can I find the reference sheet? Yeah, so I think you're referring to the one on the last slide here. I can definitely link the slides and send you this particular slide with the link at the end, and possibly it'll be in the follow-up that you receive from StrikeUp. So it'll be on there. You can just click right through, and it's also titled that. So if you Google that, it should bring you to it also. But yeah, you can click on the link once you receive it. So another one, does the lowest price always win, or does made in Canada, all natural, efficacy, etc. get priority at all? So yeah, this is a good question. It really depends on the tender opportunity that you are looking at. So in all of them, the way that they're evaluated will be clearly outlined. So in some cases, like I said, greener purchasing may be a focus, and it would be highlighted that they are looking for greener products that have less waste or better for the environment, something along those lines. So if something like that is to grant a supplier extra points, it'll be mentioned. But yeah, lowest price does not always win. There's typically a technical and a financial proposal, and combined, the points you receive on both is what will help you get the contract. So it's never always just the financial proposal that they look at. You do need to meet all the mandatory criteria, the technical requirements and everything, and score well there as well to get enough points to ultimately get the contract. So sometimes best value does boil down to price, but the technical criteria still has a good chunk of your score in its hands. So I would see when you're looking at any bid to bid on it, it'll also outline how much weight the technical and the financial proposal have in that evaluation. So it's a good idea to read how the proposal is going to be evaluated to see which criteria maybe has more weight to it, and then go about doing your proposal in that way. But no, lowest price does not always win. Another question here. I noticed on a few tenders I've tried to bid on, many contracts ask for the pricing of the goods for year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, considering the year of crazy importing costs, inflation, just higher costs of doing bidding. How do you recommend we predict our pricing so many years out? Yes, so I think with COVID, a lot of the last few years was really unpredictable for most companies. And I definitely see that being a challenge, but what you're looking at is probably, you know, being on a supplier list and like a supply arrangement or something. You're trying to add your company to a list where they keep you on hand for multiple years. So they do ask you for that pricing and whether, you know, it increases over the years, by how much. They'd like to know that kind of info. So what you can do is like give your estimates to the best of your ability, and then if they end up, you know, finding you through the list that you're on, and a department or a customer approaches you to pick you, there sometimes might be options to adjust your price, but it really depends on the scope of that work or the contract or the timing. You know, really, it depends. But yes, some of these supply arrangements, standing offers, they might ask you for multiple year pricing, and you just have to try your best and outline it. But with inflation and everything, the final decision with the contracting authority, when you're working out the final contract, it will be considered, and you can definitely raise your concerns then. But for just getting onto the list, try your best to put whatever figures you think you can estimate at that time. I hope that was helpful. But yeah, if you have a specific opportunity with that issue, definitely reach out to the contracting authority, and they can assist you there as well. Thank you. As a consultant, I need to have an agreement including indemnity to have insurance. Oh, is that okay? I'm guessing it's in relation to the previous question. Okay. So yeah, this agreement, I'll have to get back to you on this one because I'm not too certain about the insurance matter on a lot of with relation to our contracts, but yeah, I can definitely circle back to you on that one because I haven't had to see this question. So, okay, we'll get back to that. And if anything, my colleague might also be better able to respond to that one once he comes through. But yes, we'll move on from this and I'll try to return to it. And if not, email me after, and then I can definitely look into it further and then get back to you. So I'll keep that question handy just in case. Okay. So I think that's it.
I'm just joining again, and
great. Yeah, so we have a question taken now, or get back to them after, because I just said we were going to do that. So we'll carry on, but you can see it. It's the question about indemnity and insurance, and I'll continue presenting, but you can maybe respond to it at the end of this next half of our presentation. So we'll move along for now, and then Indra and I will get back to that question after, and any other questions that crop up after this next segment. So thanks for those questions, everyone. And I'll just do a quick overview of this innovation program that I think I mentioned. It's the Innovation for Defense Excellence and Security program, or commonly known as IDEAS. It's a program by the Department of National Defense and the Canadian Armed Forces, and it's basically their way to access innovation and, you know, purchase them and try them out across the military. So it's really a program that's designed to transform defense and security challenges that are faced by the various areas of our armed forces, like Air Force, Navy, Army, and Special Forces, into innovative solutions that ultimately help improve Canada's defense capabilities. So really quickly, it's a 5-year-old program, so that's why the picture has that 5 in there. It was announced in 2017, and the program officially launched in 2018 with $1.6 billion to be spent over 20 years and to deliver its mandate, which is basically advancing defense capabilities of our armed forces. This all equates to an approximate budget of $85 million per year, and the goal of this program is to continuously tap innovators for their solutions with various calls for proposals each year. The whole program is fully web-based, and, you know, I'd invite you to check out their webpage today after this session to learn more about it. But for now, I mean, I'll cover the bare basics here. So IDEAS is really for all Canadian innovators, from defense primes to academia to small and medium-sized companies to even non-for-profits and municipal, provincial, territorial entities, and even your average individuals. So if you're just somebody, you know, working at home and you know a solution right out of your basement, you've developed it, you know, you can propose it to them if it meets one of the challenges that they're putting out there. So they're looking at solving challenges from every possible angle to bring new thinking to the DND and armed forces. And they welcome thinking from non-traditional sources such as agriculture, the automotive industry, healthcare sector, or any combination of technologies that offers a breakthrough or a new approach to defense and security. So All types of Canadian innovators have participated to date. On average, 53% have been from SMEs, 27% have been academia, 16% have been large industry, so like the big companies that you probably hear about in military and defense, and 3 to 4% have been not-for-profit, and the remaining have been individuals. So there's a whole really good distribution of proposals across the country, and this program is part of that. So they definitely want to reach more and more people so that they get more diverse responses here. But the program was really born from the need to be agile in responding to crises and the impact of globalization of sciences and technology. Historically, defense innovation was driven by government research labs, and you've probably heard of DRDC, which is Canada's Defense Research and Development Canada lab. In today's climate, they've realized at that lab that technological development and innovation are often more generated by non-traditional players, such as the private sector and academia. So as the nature of conflicts and threats has rapidly evolved, Canada's national defense and security systems also need to be more inclusive, collaborative, and integrated to effectively respond to the threats that are out there, and to ensure that the department has the best access to these solutions. They've come up with a program like this. So to that extent, Ideas is really providing an augmentative approach that enables them to tap into the extraordinary talent and ingenuity that's right here in Canada. So we're really trying to use all our resources available in this country to come up with solutions. In order to be successful in this program, there are 3 pillars that it's based on. So one is helping to build a vibrant and engaged community, innovation community to apply the expertise to Canadian defense and military problems. Secondly, they support the development of solutions to Canadian defense and military challenges, and there are numerous funding tools to do that. Thirdly, the program likes to push technology forward to a demonstrable level that can increase defense capabilities, where innovators have the opportunity to showcase their solutions through their own work or by testing that's done by actual military personnel. So those are called test drives. And over the next few slides, I'll talk about more of these funding mechanisms that they use. But to date, the program has built a following of more than 6,500 innovators, and that's just people that receive their mailing list and who hear about it. And then there's been 75 challenges issued, more than 664 funded projects, 4 test drives, and $330.4 million spent all throughout. So we have a partnership with Ideas to basically help broaden the outreach for their program and promote the challenges and reach as many potential innovators. So that's why we're talking to you about it today. But yeah, basically, this is how the program is delivered. Firstly, you have the challenges that come directly from D&D and armed force stakeholders. So those are the different areas of the military, armed forces, Navy, Army, cyber, and more. And they basically come up with a certain challenge that they're facing and they bring it forward. Those challenges go through an ideation phase, which is a multidisciplinary collective brainstorming process. And then those challenges get further refined to be ready and posted for the public. And then once those innovation challenges are refined, they get posted, and it's decided, how is the challenge going to be run? Is it going to be a test drive? Is it going to be innovation network or a sandbox? So that's decided at that point. And then once submissions come through in response to the call for proposal, integrators get involved, and integrators are basically a personnel from our D&D or DRDC staff, and then they basically leverage their scientific, defense, and security knowledge and expertise to provide key insights and work with the company to advance the solution further towards a project-ready, adoption-ready solution. So the integrator is really key here, and they'll help work with the company to get the product ready. And ultimately, Idea's success is based on the changes in the defense capabilities that are generated for the Canadian Armed Forces, not on the number of contracts that are awarded for a particular challenge or something. So ultimately, they just want to enhance capabilities. So sure, they're proud of the amount they're investing and spending, but ultimately enhancing capabilities in our military is what's the end goal here. What's the benefit in participating for you? Well, I mean, the program gives many benefits, such as, access to world-class subject matter experts, generous funding opportunities. But yeah, each element is really unique in how it's designed to advance science and tech and deliver support to innovators. So if you see, there's 5 avenues that each of the projects could be done through. So competitive projects, was fairly common in the last few challenges. They've done a lot of these. It provides up to $1.2 million in phase development funding. And then, promising solutions can be selected to advance to demonstration and testing stages, which, gives it in the hands of actual military people and they get to try it out. And those are called test drives, which is the last one there, the last bubble. And then there's also sandboxes. There's one open right now. It's an opportunity for innovators to test and demonstrate their solutions in the presence of military experts and users. And the sandboxes don't provide funding directly, but they do partially reimburse up to 50% of eligible travel expenses, for example. So there are some different funding scenarios for each of these, but yeah, it's definitely listed in each of the challenges that you see on there, which one they're doing and how exactly the funding will be dispersed. So other benefits that, innovators have is that the intellectual property stays with them, and along with the armed forces and our military benefiting from the technology, the company and organization can continue to profit from the technology that's been developed. So we don't end up buying it outright from you. You get to keep the IP and keep making sales of it and making money off of it. So Ideas also launched a new initiative called the Ideas Marketplace with one of their inaugural events taking place in June of 2022. It's been a while, I know, but basically this is a second chance for innovators who have participated all throughout the earlier challenges to come back and showcase their, unique technologies once again to government buyers and pitch their solutions. So it's kind of like a pitch fest, and it helps build networks, partnerships, and further pushes their technologies forward. And they often get further sales and interest about their product. But there might be another one of these coming up in the coming year or two. So definitely keep an eye open. They tend to do these quite often. So there was one again in 2023. And so, yeah, these things will often happen. They'll bring the previous innovators back, and it's never like a dead end. Once you're out of the program, you definitely keep hearing about updates to do more of these types of events and keep selling your product. Yeah, so there's some examples of the challenges in the past and the solutions that have progressed through the competitive projects funding element, for example. And those are the ones being tested by various divisions of our military, as you can see on the right there. And then some of the company names are there: Sapper Labs, Ecopia, TerraSense Analytics, Black & McDonald. So yeah, there's some small, medium-sized, companies in there. So this is the sandbox that is currently being done. There is a sandbox I mentioned being open, and it has a deadline of October 5th. So if you are in this space and you have, countering uncrewed aerial systems, drones, UAVs, that's your area, and definitely look into the sandbox. But there's more details on their site about this one. And then during COVID, it was really great that this innovation program was able to partner up with some of our other federal departments that work in healthcare. So National Research Council, Health Canada, and Public Health Agency worked together with that Ideas program and put out 4 COVID-related challenges. And those are some of the areas that, the challenges were revolving around. And yeah, they ended up funding 3 projects and, selecting 48 phase 1 projects. And then from those 12 projects received an additional $1 million in funding to pursue their research further. So they went through a phased approach there, it seemed, with some of the bidders there. So yeah, it was really unpredictable that they did that. But like I said, COVID was unpredictable. So they were great at pivoting and putting out challenges that were relevant there. So in the near future, it's not to say they might not do an agriculture related challenge or something else. And, it's not always defense. It's not always military and security. So it could be anything, such as healthcare. And yeah, some of the key updates, as I mentioned, there were 4 challenges that were launched and closed, and they're still being evaluated. Results are going to be released soon, but some of the previous challenges were around land to sea and low greenhouse gas emissions, Arctic, related to Arctic and transferring cargo, being, there was a challenge about medical resupply in austere environments. So again, dealing with Arctic, there's a few challenges around that. So you'll see some repetitive topics, but definitely keep an eye open. They really go through a whole range of things. So there's also a quantum related challenge and quantum technologies that, closed recently in March. But yeah, the topics really do vary. So don't, shy away from looking. But yeah, if you wish to hear about them, obviously the soonest way is to subscribe to their mailing list. And They have a social media website as well that you can follow and get all the latest updates. But if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to connect you with people on that team as well. And yeah, we're always at events promoting this program and, you know, talking about them. So if you have any other questions, happy to take them now, whether it's about ideas or if you want to go back to procurement and that one question that we left behind. So I think that's it from me with the presentation. So happy to take more questions at this time regarding all this. And hold on, maybe we'll start with the, oh, I think Induum just responded to that one in the chat. So thank you, Induum, for doing that. So yeah, if anyone wants to check out the response, it's in the chat. I'm not going to read it out, but definitely feel free to look into that if it is something that concerns you as well. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. So happy that you guys all stuck through it. And if you have questions, I can show you with a quick walkthrough on our website or take them just by answering here. Yeah.
All the questions in the chat were answered, so that's great. Thank you to both for doing so. We will give you just a few more moments if anyone wants to jump in. Feel free to unmute yourself if you've got some questions to ask. I think this was a great presentation, and based on the responses, it sounded like 100% now better understand procurement with the federal government, which is great, and 95% will be going to the Canada Buys website. So that's wonderful. So thank you so much. We would love to stay connected. So feel free to reach out to Nujhat if you've got any questions about any of the programs presented here, as well as anything regards to Strike Up Canada. Please feel free to reach out to myself. I will throw my own contact information here in the chat. If anyone has questions about Strike Up in general or their Strike Up Connects series. I'd like to, again, take the opportunity to thank Procurement Assistance Canada so much for joining us today and providing that information. Very, very helpful, lots of information. And I hope all of you do follow those links to learn a little bit more about the programs. I'll just pause for another moment and allow if there's anyone else that wanted to jump in and ask a question before we end today.
Yeah, thank you, Heather, for posting and sharing all your comments, but happy to stay connected. And, you know, you guys should all receive a follow-up from Heather. And if you have any other further questions, you can come back to us then too. So whatever works. But thank you all for joining. And we have our big attend, which I'm going to push out. So if anyone is looking at the chat still, definitely be sure to join us in person. We're starting to do in-person events again, which is great. And on October 16th, it'll be at the Metro Hall, Toronto. It's our diversity forum or small business diversity forum. And we're really welcoming all sorts of diverse businesses that, like I said, are underrepresented in our procurement processes. So if you're in the area and free that day, definitely do drop by. And there's a registration link that's been shared. So check it out for more details. And yeah, hope you can all make it there. And we also have our virtual events. So check out our events calendar to sign up for whichever one suits you.
Sounds great. And as a reminder, this is recorded. So we will send out an email that has the link to the recording, the link to the events calendar, as well as the event that Nujhat just shared. And feel free to reach out to either of us personally or follow us on socials for more information about the events coming up for the rest of the year. Thank you so much. It's been a great presentation. I will let you all go, and we hope to see you at the next Strike Up Connects event in October. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.